Welcome to Fieldsports Britain. Coming up, Simon Barr, UK Realtree ProStaffer, is learning how to protect his pheasants from foxes. We're off to Ireland to the Birr Castle Game Fair, where terrier work may be becoming a new Olympic sport. First, if you ever get the call up and you want to know what to do, here is the definitive guide to driven grouse. There's winged game, and then there's winged game, and then there's driven grouse. It's expensive, it's exclusive, but with good reason. Thousands of man-hours go into creating a habitat that will allow these ground-nesting Stinger missiles to flourish, and someone has to pay for it. Today we join a family and friend day shoot in Yorkshire. We're on Bransdale Moor and are guests of the Wilkinson family. Their estate and their shoot is managed by William Powell Sporting.
Because we are involved 365 days a year at Bransdale and on our other moors, we therefore have such a tremendous involvement. We make sure that every single day does live up to its expectations.
Mark Osborne from William Powell is the man who will be guiding us through the day, explaining the do's and don'ts, but etiquette, no tittering in the back row, and why grouse is flying royalty.
They are really the most extraordinary birds. You get grouse mid-September probably. As soon as they see you lift your gun, they flare away up so that where you've shot is not where the grouse are. Really amazing, an amazing bird, marvellous.
Before a hard day's shooting, there is a hearty breakfast to be had at the recently refurbished Stoneleigh Woods Manor. This amazing building has been fitted out in preparation for shooting parties to come and have a ball, on the moor and off it. There are 9 bedrooms with day rooms and dining rooms, all with spectacular views across the great British countryside. The moor itself is a 25-minute drive away, delving deeper into an uninterrupted moorland landscape. It truly is a privilege to be here. There are 9 guns today and 5 drives where the birds come at you at eye level. For this one, we're letting Mark get his eye in before we start badgering him about how one does things. Mark shoots 4 birds. The end of the line does not often deliver the best shooting, but he has done well. Dogs and beaters make sure that all the grouse on the ground are accounted for. The second drive is a bit more exposed and we should be able to see the birds coming at us from a distance. Mark is now in butt 3. Mark has a chance to talk us through the setup. The action can be fast and furious. Safety is the #1 concern.
The first thing I do is to look around me to see the topography, the line of the butts on either side, and the good shooting angle in front of me and then behind. The gun comes out of the sling. We put the gun on the front of the butt with 2 cartridges in the gun so that we're ready, because we're live at any time. Everybody's in their butts, so we can shoot whenever it's safe and the grouse are coming. We then get our butt sticks. And our buck sticks are positioned by the gun rather than by the loader, and these are a frame that makes sure that we cannot shoot into the butts on either side. So I look to see where is a safe place to shoot, and it's to stop there. So the buck stick has a window there which prevents us from shooting through into the butt on that side, and then we take the other butt stick out to do the same on the other side. We've got some flankers right up on the ridge there. They're probably out of shot, but just to be careful, we'll put a walking stick in front so there's no chance of us just peppering a flanker either. The flankers are flagmen running outside from the end butts, butt #1 and butt number 8 on either end, and they're to keep the grouse coming in as the drive comes in.
Once the beaters get to a white marker in front of the guns, a horn blows, telling the guns they can now only shoot birds behind, to the rear of the butt. The beaters can then come right up to the guns. A second horn means the end of the drive and the birds can be picked. The guns should also use this disc to mark where the birds have fallen. Time for a quick break and an opportunity for us to speak to the man who is shouldering a lot of the pressure today, the head gamekeeper. For him, this shoot is the culmination of not months but years of work.
I mean, this is the first big moor that I've been a head keeper on. I was a head keeper on a small moor in Scotland. So coming here, this is the first moor that I can really put my mark on and want to smash all records on Bransdale. So the record was 4,200 brace for the season, and I mean we'd want to get it to 6. Very disappointed if we didn't get it to 6. And also the day record, although because it's a let moor, getting a team that's willing to pay for 500 brace of grouse could be quite difficult. So that's maybe not as realistic a goal, but certainly the season record is the one we want to go for.
Love your job?
Yeah, I love it, yeah. You have to, you wouldn't do it if you didn't.
Once fed and watered, there is more sport to be had. For this third drive, we join one of the best game shots in the world, Simon Ward. Simon used to compete very successfully on the clay circuit, but now concentrates on teaching sporting guns how to deal with a bird flying at just above ground level at 65 miles per hour. So as we have him cornered, it would be rude not to ask him for a few pearls of wisdom.
First of all, it would be safety, and then the second major tip would be learn to mount the gun accurately onto a moving object. In this situation, you've got grouse coming at eye level, and if you tend to stand too upright and mount the gun with your head up in that position like so, you'll be looking at the grouse but the barrels will be beneath your eye. So the idea is with anything at your eye level or below, you bring your head forwards so your balance comes over your front foot, and as you mount the gun onto the bird, the gun comes up to the cheek naturally, and as a consequence your lead eye, I'm a left-hander, so my lead eye, my left eye, is in effect the back side. If I stand too upright with my head up, my eye will be in this position, and as a consequence I'll be looking at the grouse up here, but the barrel will be beneath my eye, so I'll tend to shoot low. So if you start with your head a little bit further forwards, nose over your toes, and then bring the gun up naturally to the eye, now the gun will shoot where I look.
We don't get much shooting, but what does fly past does not need a second barrel. Lunch means a 3-course meal in this wonderful carriage. Life is good, and so is the food. And so is the shooting. For the penultimate drive, again we join Simon. This is the drive we've been waiting for. With the weather cooling, the birds are flying really fast. Nothing gets past Simon.
I'm sure you can see from the film it was all fairly exciting stuff, and the grouse whizzing around left, right and centre, and a few nice coveys coming through. We had to pick the right bird and set yourself up for a left and right, and 1 or 2 tricky ones out the back. So now that was, you've seen it in its in the flesh there. That's driven grouse shooting in all its glory.
Did you miss one?
It needed the second barrel once, unfortunately, but that was about it. So always room for improvement.
A second barrel? Outrageous! For the last drive, we are really pushing the boat out. There's a chance of using a fourth barrel, sort of. Mark is shooting a pair of William Powell Zenith side-by-sides. Why is it important to have good guns when you are grouse shooting?
To me, it's lovely to shoot with a traditional gun side by side. The design of these guns is based on Holland and Holland action, and it hasn't changed for about 100 years. So that actual design of that action is nearly 100 years old, and Hollands are still made today exactly like that. And there's something really inherently wonderful about shooting with that sort of traditional gun in this very traditional environment.
If there were a place where these deserve an outing, it's here, and Mark believes that a side-by-side is actually better suited to grouse.
When you're shooting high pheasants or high partridges, having that tremendous balance of an over and under which goes on a single plane and doesn't flick about is a great advantage. When you're shooting a bird which is jinking right to left and then backwards and forwards like a grouse will do, having a gun that you can put into your shoulder and move it very quickly, a side-by-side is that gun and is probably an advantage.
It's been a fabulous day and we have bagged 102 brace. Grouse shooting is deep-seated in the fabric of this country. It's a high-octane sport that brings so many added benefits, from conservation to cash for rural communities, and there's a super social side whether you are a gun or a beater. If you want to book some grouse shooting or would just like to find out more about the estates managed by William Powell, go to williampowellsporting.co.uk. And if you want to turn up with a pair of smart William Powell shotguns in the back of your car, prices start at £7,500 for a pair of side-by-sides or £4,500 for a pair of over and unders. For more information, go to williampowell.com. Now from open moorland to a closed mind, it's David on the Fieldsports channel News Stump.
This is Fieldsports Britain News. A wildlife charity is claiming that shooting magazines should join other kinds of magazines on the top shelf in newsagents. Animal Aid claims that lurid, pro-violence content of country sports magazines could have a corrosive, long-lasting effect on impressionable young minds. Professor Peter Squires of the University of Brighton goes on to say that magazines such as Shooting Times and The Field are a kind of shooting porn. He clearly doesn't realise that both shooting porn and traditional porn is now readily available on the internet, apparently. The Parrot Olympics are set to get underway. The shooters are competing from the 30th of August to the 6th of September. Great Britain's 12-person team includes Di Coates in her 8th Paralympic Games, and the 2008 gold medalist Matt Skellen, who may also win a medal for his hair. Basque is hosting a number of events to help people improve their shooting skills. They're one-day courses with classroom and practical sessions with Basque staff and Basque accredited shotgun coaches. They cost £65 for a Basque member and £100 for non-members, and are being held all over England and Wales. Visit basque.org.uk. And finally, Essex was briefly excited over the weekend when there were reported sightings of a lion on the loose. However, police believe it's a domestic cat. You are now up to date with Fieldsports Britain News. Stalking the stories, fishing for facts.
Next, it's all the fun of the fair, the Irish Game and Country Fair at Birr Castle in County Offaly. Now here's how to turn terrier work into an Olympic sport for Rio 2016. It's the finals of the All-Ireland hole digging competition.
There's a local lad to Barr here. Here's when I started the shows. The terrier men always seemed to have very little to do after the initial showing and the thing was over. So there's always plenty of banter around the rings as who can dig and who couldn't dig. And we've had some varied comments over this competition. But one wee lad reckoned his father was digging like his granny, and that was one of the ways he was spurring him on. And, it all comes down to digging terriers, so it does. And it's all that. The idea of the competition is, and coming into an All Ireland too, is to promote it in a good light, because on TV, as we all know, it's only ever promoted in a bad light. So it's our way of sort of saying, well, look, it's all a varied range of people, and it's all, there's nothing wrong with it. So, you know. So it is.
Triumphed again. 2 years in a row now. 2 years in a row.
From spades to guns, you could hear the bangs of the shooting line during the hole digging. The clay shoot at the Birr Castle Game Fair is organised by the local pheasant shoot.
We're the host gamekeepers in the castle here in Barr, and we're hosting this clay shoot on behalf of the great game fairs.
So you're more used to real pigeons than clay pigeons?
Oh yeah, well, we're game shooters at heart. We're doing this, I suppose, to support our shooting. We're predominantly pheasant shooters and duck shooters. Well, all forms of game, really.
Birr Castle attracts standholders from all over Ireland. William Holmes runs his tackle and fishing business in Northern Ireland, where it has been a bumpy year for salmon.
It's been very, very good up round our end now, up round the County Derry end, County Derry and Antrim.
Foil system, the band system?
Yeah, with the foil system and the band system. There's been a few of them where there's been quite a few regulation changes this year, where there's a few of our rivers are total catch and release. A lot of the rivers, they've cut down in the numbers of fish that people can take. That's really a reaction to the numbers of rod caught salmon over the last few years. The band system, it's gone totally catch and release, so it has, and we saw the figures very much up. So
everyone here is a hunter, shooter, fisher, in short, imbued with Irish spirit. Ireland is a paradise for field sports enthusiasts. But there is a threat on the horizon. Birr this year sees a call to action by a new pro-hunting group supported by all the major Irish field sports organisations.
RISE is the acronym for Rural Ireland Says Enough, which is a movement of country sports organisations and indeed others country organisations who are concerned with how our way of life in the countryside is being pressurised and indeed even being regulated out of existence. And it's a common popular uprising, if you like, of rural Ireland in defence of its way of life.
Senior government officials insist the bill is no threat to hunting in Ireland, but after the English experience, the locals here are taking no chances.
There's a vast support which has been demonstrated today by the RISE campaign, the amount of feeling out there in the rural communities that they will not accept this change, and people have to respect our livelihood and our heritage.
It has been another great show organised by Great Game Fairs of Ireland. Philip Lawton is one of the organisers.
Shooting, hunting, fishing, dog work, fly casting, giant telescopes, cannon, reenactments, medieval nasty pieces going around butchering each other in the arena. Well, at least we'd no blood spilt.
Next, Realtree UK ProStaffer Simon Barr is protecting his pheasants from foxes.
The harvest's just about over now, and it's a critical time of year if you've got pheasants on a farm. The young naive foxes are still about, and this will give us a perfect opportunity now the crops have come off to see if we can mop a few of them up before the pheasant shooting season starts proper. I'm out this evening with fox shooter Gary Tate. He's got a couple of new pieces of kit to see whether or not they're going to make any difference on the foxing that he normally does. This looks quite an interesting sort of contraption that you've got on top of the quad bike. What's going on here? What's it all about?
Well, it's a shooting frame which I'm trying this year. It's manufactured by K&A Services, and I'm giving it a go to see how I get on with it. I usually use just a front mount rest and throw myself over that, but with this the idea is that you can shoot all around. It has a place to rest your rifle when you're not using that. It has a place to hang game on the back as well if you're out rabbiting. And for me, the main advantage that I like is the fact that I've got somewhere to put my lamp when I'm not holding it and I'm not picking up foxes. So if I go on my own, this does give me the versatility to be able to shoot on my own and to mount the lamp whilst I'm taking the shot.
So What would you like me to do this evening, Gary?
Well, tonight, Simon, I think what I'd like you to do is just watch and see how I go about doing it as if I was out on my own. And if we do find a fox, I get set up, you pass with the rifle, I'll take the shot. Hopefully there's plenty out here. We should see some action very early on.
Do you think I might get a chance at a fox?
Oh, there could well be a chance of a fox or two, I think, yeah.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, well, why don't we get set up and make for some foxes?
Good, let's go.
Excellent. Tonight we are lamping over 2 large areas of the same farm. Gary has already taken half a dozen foxes off this stubble, but he knows it promises more. There's even the chance of an urban fox from the local village. The quad bike is a great tool for this type of work, and we cover a lot of ground scanning as we go for foxes and those deep ruts which would make my life on the back of the quad very uncomfortable. A couple of fields on and we get our first set of eyes. Gary barks to keep it interested and starts calling with the lamp off the target. I lower the light onto the sitting fox to fully illuminate it for Gary to see it through the scope, and the fox instantaneously drops. Here it is again, right of frame. It's a great start.
It's quite small in the body, isn't it?
It is quite small in the body, but for me it's a pleasing result because being a vixen, this is going to go on, this is going to produce more. It's the same philosophy I use, and is used within the deer world. If you want to control deer numbers, you shoot females, you don't go shooting males. The same goes for foxes. Only takes one dog fox to cover a lot of females, so here we've got a vixen. She's now out of the breeding programme, and so we've got a job well done.
And a very good shot, Gary.
Thank you very much.
Many fox shooters choose ballistic tipped bullets when after Charlies. Tonight Gary is using 243 ammunition loaded by a friend of ours. He's using my new Blaser Professional Success with its ergonomically designed pistol grip stock.
These are 70 grain ballistic tip home loaded rounds. The ballistic tip gives us a very, very fast expanding bullet, so what happens on impact is this polymer tip here is driven back into the bullet, forcing the bullet to rapidly expand and lose as much energy inside the animal as possible without penetrating through. We're not looking for a blood track, we're not looking for a bleeding hole, we're looking for an instantaneous dead animal, and this bullet will give you that.
We cover acres of ground. Gary knows the lay of the land on this farm, so he could probably drive blindfolded, but it's sensible not to. The badgers have dug some enormous sets, the perfect trap for a quad bike. We light up fox number 2. Gary once again decisively finds the target. This time it's a youngster.
What have you just managed to knock over there?
It's another vixen, Simon, which, I say, pleases me immensely. This is definitely a cub. You can tell, very, very fluffy, furry coat, as opposed to hair, more fluff than hair. Definitely a cub, much, much smaller teeth, look, almost pristine condition.
And Gary, that ballistic tip's literally taken that fox apart, hasn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
It would have felt absolutely nothing, would it?
No.
Now it's my turn on the Blaser, and I hope there are still some vulpine targets for me to have a shot at. On the next sweep we find one. The quad multi-mate rest gives me a steady shot, and I've comfortably accounted for another female.
So what was that, about sort of 100 metres or so, Gary?
It was about 100 metres away, mate. It's nicely shot, straight through the neck. Yeah, good shot, clean kill. Another vixen, this time quite an older one. I would say very old actually, comparatively speaking tonight. I think most of everything we've seen tonight's been quite young, but this one's quite old. So.
Well, I'm very, very pleased with that.
It was a good shot.
First one of the evening.
Yeah.
I tell you what, the rest on the quad bike made a massive difference. Being able to rest my right elbow.
Yeah, it
was kind of bench rest conditions to be able to take that shot. It was excellent.
It's the reason why I put the rest on there was because I've always been able to rest as everyone can on the front of the bike, on a rest on the front of the bike. But you always find that if you're right-handed, your elbow's flapping around in the wind, and that's really what you're looking for, is that sort of bench rest sort of setup, where you're absolutely solid, and then you know you're going to get a good shot.
Yeah, I mean, I felt very comfortable then when I took the shot.
No, it was a good shot. Well done.
Having covered every field on this side of the farm, we hitch up and head off to the other side, a couple of miles away. The pheasant release pens are located on this part of the farm, so it's crucial we eliminate as many foxes as possible. The first foxes we spot make for cover and will not stand. Gary thinks these animals know a little too much and have been lamped unsuccessfully before. We lift the lamp, hoping they might drop their guard, but to no avail. We drive through the cover crop and again spot a fox that knows the score. Eventually we get a response that we all hope for. The fox stops long enough for me to shoot. Amazingly, the lamp's beam picks up the path of the bullet as it is sent across the field, which you can clearly see. It's a satisfyingly long walk to retrieve it. Gary reckons it's about 180 metres, which I'm very pleased with. It's a mature dog fox.
Gary, thank you very much. It's been a brilliant evening. 4 foxes, 3 vixens, and that last dog fox, which I'm particularly happy with.
That was a very good fox.
It was a very good fox, yeah. 180 metres,
yeah.
Nice and steady, and he dropped to the shot very, very beautifully.
Yeah, good shot.
Yeah, very pleased with that. So thank you very much. I've learned a huge amount this evening about the way that you fox, the techniques that you use. There was a few that weren't standing this evening.
Yeah, if they're not going to stand, leave them alone. Don't start taking wild shots at them because you won't get another chance.
Yeah, it's a delicate process,
Yeah.
isn't it? And we left quite a lot this evening.
Yeah.
Are you happy with 4?
Yeah, very happy with it. Yeah, it was a good evening. Taking out the vixens, I always think it's worthwhile. They're the breeding animals, so.
Well, 3-to-1 ratio tonight, so.
Yeah, that was good.
But Gary, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Well done.
Foxing is such an important job. As a crafty predator, they can really impact a pheasant shoot. So accuracy and commitment are needed to outwit this most cunning of adversaries. It is a hugely satisfying task when it goes right, and pleasing to know that many more birds will make it to the season. If you like this show, why not tune into Team Wild TV to see my buddy Ian Harford on his latest bow hunting adventure to Hungary, where he takes a monster boar at 8 yards.
If you enjoy shooting, you'll love The Shooting Show. This week it's a call to action for rimfire and airgun shooters. Episode 16 of The Shooting Show is a pest control bonanza. Barr and Pace makes it a family matter as his brother Darryl joins him to deal with rabbits on a new shooting ground in the Angus Glens. South of the border, Barron is joined by sporting rifle writer Tony Megson for airgun pest control on a Yorkshire farm, curbing the population of pigeons that roost in the barn and contaminate the feed. There's another big bag to be had here, provided the pair can avoid angering the resident pigs. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can click on the screen behind me to go straight through to The Shooting Show. Next, it's Hunting YouTube. This is Hunting YouTube, which aims to show the best hunting, shooting and fishing videos that YouTube has to offer. We start with Mark Gilchrist hanging out with a beautiful girl. Star of the Scandinavian hunting world Christopher Clausen joins Mark for a day's pigeon, and crucially he brings Christina Thibault Hansen. Christopher promises an action-packed episode, not that kind of action. We make films for Guns on Pegs, but occasionally they get hold of their own cameras, and here they are with a pair of the new iCam glasses, which puts the camera right between your eyes, which makes for good filming when you are doing the same with shot at pigeons. Love the old-fashioned Hessian pigeon hide. They should get that listed. The Arab Spring saw North Africa join up on YouTube en masse, and some of them are hunters. Here is M. Naya from Tunisia showing off his HPR and catching birds with it. Might not be your bag, but shows what the world is up to. It's open to argument, but not with me. Top of the saltwater fly fishing world is Permit, and here is addictive fishing spinning for them. Spinning, dear me, give him both barrels, will you, James? But you do get to see plenty of fish in this film, made off Boca Grande, Florida. The new motto for kinetic fishing is shut up and fish. Cannibals on the Hunt big perch fishing in midwater is a romp set to rock and roll through catching 5 big perch from 1.2 kilograms to 1.6 kilograms. That's 3 to 3.5 pounds, somewhere in Scandinavia. They shut up and they fish. Roebuck hunting in Scotland is the kind of holiday video anyone would be pleased to show. Okay, it's a bit wobbly, but it's a great showcase for a Czech stalker's trip to Britain's last great wilderness. Bad news for Visit Scotland, he chooses the theme tune to The Last of the Mohicans as his soundtrack. Now for some good old American know-how. The National Shooting Sports Federation offers its definitive guide to shooting off anything but prone with former Army Ranger sniper team leader Ryan Kleckner. If you are American, watch and learn from Shooting Positions in the Field NSSF Shooting Sportscast. If you are from anywhere else, you will probably find something wrong with it, but that's nationalism for you. Now it's hard to find find anything wrong with Doug and Regis Giles. They are on a wild boar hunt in Florida. These guys' homespun enthusiasm is a big part of the American YouTube hunting scene. Doug runs ClashDaily.com, Regis runs GirlsJustWannaHaveGuns.com, and she is using a double rifle in 9.3x74 with some success on a piney wood router. You can click on any of these films to watch them. If you have a YouTube film you would like us to pop into the weekly top 8, send it in via YouTube or email me the link charlie@fieldsportschannel.tv. Well, if you're watching this on YouTube, please hit our subscribe button that's somewhere around the outside of the screen there, or go to our show page, www.youtube.com/show/Fieldsports Britain, where you can subscribe to just this show, which is out every Wednesday from 7 o'clock, or go to our website, fieldsportschannel.tv. Scroll down to the bottom, you can pop your email into the constant contact box there and we'll get in touch with you, or you can click to like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter. This has been Fieldsports Britain from County Offaly, the Birr Castle Game Fair.